We're ready for the start. They're off.
And welcome in, everybody. It's First Call, dawn of a new day. Literally, we're now on Fridays and live in Technicolor, Jeff Siegel. We've moved out of the podcast world and just audio, and we're moving on up. So you're George, I'm Wheezy, I guess, and we're going to have some fun with this.
Yeah, we are. And it gives our ability to not only talk about selections and analysis, but we get to show and tell a little bit more. So if I tell you that I like a horse because of his last race, and we can show it, and that goes for workouts as well. So visually, I think we've stepped up our game a little bit, and hopefully we will be able to justify some of our selections, even if they lose. At least we had the right idea. That's the theory anyway. And we're also going to cut it down to just our top 8 races for the weekend, so we won't spread ourselves too thin. But some good racing as we open up the first week of weekend racing at Saratoga.
Yeah, we're not just serving cake here. We're trying to make it and bake it too, right? I mean, we show people the process and how we come up with them. We'll have 8 stakes races for you each week on the First Call podcast. And let's take a look at this weekend's lineup that we'll take a look at here on the show at Gulfstream Park. The Azalea Stakes continues that summer-long Summit of Speed, if you will. The fillies in action in the Azalea. At Maryland Jockey Club, Laurel Park, it's the second of 3 Summer Sizzlers in July series, where we've got 4 stakes races overall in Maryland. We'll take a look at 3 of them, the Alma North, the Big Dreyfus, and the Frank DeFrancis Memorial Dash back in its rightful summer slot. At Monmouth Park, we'll look at the Sparkler Stakes for the Turf Sprinters, and then we'll go to Saratoga for a pair of Saturday stakes, the Diana for Chad Brown and company, and the Sanford Stakes for the 2-year-old colts. And then on Sunday, the Quick Call, Jeff, gets things going for the sprinters on the turf. So we've got a lot to talk about here over the next 30 minutes or so. Want to let folks know, too, when you play with First Bet and Express Bet this weekend, we've got a ton of great promotions. It's Meadowlands Pace weekend. So if you're into the harness action, be sure to check out the Meadowlands Pace on Saturday night at the Big M. Al Samagli, our harness handicapper, will have the picks and blogs and everything you need to follow the Meadowlands Pace this weekend at expressbet.com and at news.first.com, where you can get all of our great blog action. Of course, Jeff, you've also got daily Saratoga coverage. Tell fans about that.
Yeah, we have selections, best plays, and workouts. We've had our workout crew there for about a week now, so we're a little light on the workouts, but every day we'll get more and more into the library. So by the next couple of weeks or so, we should have some extensive workout coverage. We write up the workouts. We give you your the splits, the team drills, the analysis, the grades. We also give you a video link. So if you don't agree with how I see the workout, you can watch it yourself.
That's right.
And make your own conclusions. Come to them and use them for your handicapping. It's a unique service that we have. I know there are a lot of workout services out there that they'll write up the works. Mm-hmm. With us, you get to watch them. That's the key. Right. And we'll have some very important workouts at Saratoga. And then when Del Mar opens the following week, we'll do the same thing there. So you got 2 tracks with workouts for Express Bet subscribers, and hopefully you'll take advantage of that.
Notable words there next week. Del Mar opens next week, not the same weekend as Saratoga. So a little change to the calendar means there's no racing in Southern California this weekend. The only racing in California on the thoroughbred side would be the fair at Sacramento. So if you're a West Coaster, maybe you're looking east this week. And let's take you all the way east and get into our handicapping for the week. The Azalea Stakes at Gulfstream Park kicks things off at 7 furlongs. Again, this is the Summit of Speed extended, if you will. 7 furlongs here for the 3-year-old fillies. And Jeff Siegel, as we talk about the Azalea Stakes, who are you looking at in this sprint?
Well, we're looking at maybe a one-hit wonder, or maybe a filly who has all of a sudden got massively good. I'm not sure. Number 2 on your program is Poema, and she was a winner by almost 9 lengths in her most recent start, and she earned a buyer number that was miles better than she ever had earned before. Now, this was her 10th career start, so maybe she's found herself, maybe trainer Larry Bates has figured something out. She was massively impressive in her most recent win. It was an allowance race at Gulfstream Park over a mile. And I got to tell you, if she runs back to that race, Jeremy, I think she can take this stand in class in stride. She was 17-1, so it wasn't that she was beating a bad field. She made them look bad, but this was a step forward, a massive situation. And I do think Poema is going to be very tough to catch if she can run back to the same race that she had last time out.
Let's go back to June 17th. See it for yourself.
Around the far turn at the 5/16, and Poema and Edgar Perez push their chips all in. They've now widened to a 7-length lead. Penny covering ground, but up into second. Easy come, easy go is next. Peachy Weechy held up in traffic, and she doesn't appear to be bringing her fastball. Meanwhile, Poema's in the midst of a big-time lead. 3/4 in 9-2, and the stretch out for Poema proves a very good move. Poema under jockey Edgar Perez for trainer Larry Bates. She runs this field off their feet at 17-1. Poema with a speed display. Hot Penny was second. Easy come, easy go third. Rachel's Rock is fourth in 134-1.
Fair question. Where the heck did that come from? It was nowhere on the form before that. Jeff, I think maybe, just maybe, a value play in here could be Ha Penny, the runner-up in that race, because if Poema doesn't run that race back, then Ha Penny is a horse who was 2-1 in that spot, makes the switch now to Junior Alvarado. So it could be a shot there, I think, to take a look at Ha Penny. We've also got a couple horses in here coming out of the same stakes race, the Game Face. Let's go back and take a look at that one, where Last Leaf and Rapturous were in action there, running 1-3.
Second, Rapturous is starting to close ground from the back. Yellow Cap swinging wide off the corner. Off the turn on the stretch drive. Ron Spatz, 1-2 with 3/16 to go, and Last Leaf turning away. Freedom Speaks. Down the center and Rapturous. Last Leaf now roused on the top end and kicking clear. Rapturous is going to try to catch Freedom Speaks, but nobody catches Last Leaf, who wins the Game Face by 2.5. Holding second was Freedom Speaks from Rapturous third.
So Last Leaf, the winner of the Game Face, is actually a 32% win projection from the First Bet Artificial Intelligence. So the bots sure like that race, Jeff. They'll take Last Leaf. I take it you're going with Poema.
I am, but I'm not. I wouldn't be surprised if the clock strikes 12 for her, because if you look at Poema's previous form or previous 9 races, there was nothing even remotely that good. And but she did it. We saw it. It actually happened. And not only did she run fast, but she actually won eased up. So, and that was a mile, so 7/8 is well within her range. Inside speed, she's had a month off. So 5-2 in the morning line. We'll see if Poema can run 2 alike. And if she can win the Azalea.
All right. That's the Azalea Stakes from Gulfstream Park. If you're playing the action this weekend with ExpressBet and FirstBet, be sure to look at our hit and splits, $100,000 given away throughout the month of July, including $4,000 in the Laurel Park Late Pick 4 on Saturday. Jeff and I are going to handicap a few of those races coming up in just a moment. So Laurel Park with a $4,000 hit and split. Canterbury Park's early pick 4 on Saturday, also a $2,000 hit and split. And the Meadowlands Pace pick 4, $2,000 hit and splits. We come back with a hit and split on Sunday at Laurel Park as well. And now we get into some handicapping at Laurel on the Summer Sizzler, second of 3 big July stakes days at Laurel Park. And Jeff, they're going to run stakes races in 4 consecutive events. Let's take a look at our first of 3 that we're going to analyze. The Alma North Stakes at Laurel Park is a 6.5 furlong sprint, $100,000 race. I remember this race when it was at the Timonium Fair way back when, but now run at Laurel Park. And we've got a superstar to talk about in this one, Jeff. It's a short field, but a star-studded renewal with Chubb Wagon in action.
Pretty hard to fault 12 starts, 11 wins in a second for a career mark so far. But this is what this 5-year-old mare has accomplished. In fact, her only defeat, she was 2-5 in a state-bred race, or a stakes race, I should say, at Parks over a sloppy track. She got beat that day. Got beat a length and a half, a length and a quarter, finishing second. Other than that, she's perfect. And she doesn't always win by a lot. Early in her career, she did. Now she's shown she can grind out the tough ones. She's won her last 2. Freshman since mid-June when last seen at Parks. She is a Pennsylvania bred, so she's won a lot of races over there. This will be her first start at Laurel, but she has run well and won at Pimlico. And I think based on her style, which is always to maybe stalk or press the pace and then kick on with it and give you a second move, at this 6.5 furlong distance should be right up her alley. In fact, she's perfect 2 for 2. So at 7-5 in the morning line, I suspect she might go lower. Number 3, Chub Wagon looks going to be very hard to beat in the Almanor.
Her last start in Maryland was a winning one. Let's take a look back.
It's the inside home, quarter to go at Pimlico, half mile in 45.32. And here comes Chubwagon on the outside to Hello Beautiful. Hello Beautiful's hanging on to the lead, though. Hello Beautiful bracing with the challenger. Chubwagon on the outside. Can Chubwagon get by? Chubwagon, Hello Beautiful. Chubwagon's taking the lead. Chubwagon runs the score up to 7 in a row. 7 undefeated in 7 starts. Chubwagon from Hello Beautiful in a sparkling finish of the shine again.
And since then, she's gone on to 11 for 12, as Jeff had mentioned. Jeff, as far as an exacta behind Chub Wagon, 2 horses rematching out of the Susquehanna Valley at Penn National, a race I saw in person back on June 17th. Feed Esprit in there and Kaylasaurus. I think Kaylasaurus could be a horse who might be a bit of an overlay in this spot. Kaylasaurus was bet down. She was the favorite in that race, 6-5 at Penn National last time for Tim Kreiser. She leaves her home track, but goes back to Laurel, where she's had success in the past. I think with Chub Wagon's speed, a late runner like Kaylasaurus could be a horse who could come on for the exacta. So I've got this one 3-5. You like anybody underneath?
No, I think you got the right one there, especially at the 6.5 trip, because the filly you mentioned, Kaylasaurus, she's not real quick. She likes to kind of settle, get her feet underneath her, and then make one run. And then sometimes 1 3/4, they got to rush her a little. She doesn't want that. So she can kind of drop over, settle, make one run, maybe pick up the pieces.
Good luck in the Almanor Stakes on Saturday at Laurel Park. Again, part of that $4,000 hit and split for the late pick 4. At Laurel Park, we turn our attention to the Big Dreyfus Stakes. Big Dreyfus, race number 9 on the card, on the DeFrancis Dash undercard. The Big Dreyfus, 1 1/8 miles on the main track. The nickname, the namesake of longtime racing secretary George Ann Hale. So the race in her honor, the Big Dreyfus Stakes. We've got a defending champion in this race, Jeff. Good field. Petrichor coming in from New York via Belmont Park for trainer Bill Mott. So you've got some class. You got some top locals in this field. What'd you make of the Big Dreyfus?
I made this to be a very difficult race. I was all over the map here trying to handicap this race. You mentioned Petrichor. That was my initial reaction. Take the New York shipper, and maybe she'll have a little bit of a class edge. I went back and watched her race at Churchill in the Mint Julep, which was a great 3. She was favored that day, and I wasn't that wild about it, but it might have been against our group. She earned a 91 buyer number, and that's probably going to be good enough to win. So perhaps against this level at 1 1/8 miles at Laurel, Petrichor will have found her friend. She certainly won her debut, our U.S. debut at Keeneland nicely 2 races back, and she was a listed stakes winner at Longchamp last year in the spring of 2021. So if you've come up liking Petrichor, I'm not going to talk you off it. I wanted to see a little bit more in her last race, but considering the strength of that race, perhaps it wasn't a bad race at all, especially against this group. You've got the Shugs filly, number 3, In a Hurry, daughter of Blame, who was a good second in the Dahlia at Laurel over this course 2 races back in the spring. 3rd in the Gallerat last time out against a tougher group. So I think she's the other one. So I would say that the two fillies shipping down from New York are going to be the tough to beat in here, In a Hurry and Petrichor. But there are others in here that have credentials as well. This is no slam dunk for either one of the two invaders. I find it a very tough race, very tough.
Yeah, this race returns to Laurel Park. Last year it was run at Pimlico as Laurel's turf course was under renovation at that time. And Tightly Twisted got the victory in this race last year when it was at Pimlico. So a defending champion, but not exactly in the same scenario. Let's go back to 2021 when the Big Dreyfus Stakes was taken by Tightly Twisted.
Back down to the final furlong and a half, and Tightly Twisted takes off. Tightly Twisted opens up. Counterparty Risk levels on the outside, the second spot. Coming after Tightly Twisted. Tightly Twisted just holding firm. It is Tightly Twisted, and Counterparty Risk 1-2. It is Tightly Twisted to win by a length. Or Counterparty Risk then sailing into the win, and Marlborough Road and Sister Hannah.
So, Jeff, you say, well, Kentucky Twisted beat a New York shipper or two New York shippers like we have there. Counterparty risk last year was Chad Brown, Seth Klarman coming in from New York. So she was able to do it over the Pimlico turf course. We'll see if she can handle it at Laurel Park, but certainly Tightly Twisted, has a little more form on the turf at Pimlico than Laurel. Don't know if it's a horse for course angle or not, but certainly second off the layoff. It's a good form cycle for Tightly Twisted. We'll give her a shot maybe in here, and which should be an inflated price, right? The two New Yorkers are going to take the money.
Yeah, and you mentioned about Tightly Twisted unplaced in her next 4 starts after that win that we saw, but she had some time off, and maybe she can step forward in a second off the bench. So I wouldn't completely throw her out. She's certainly going to has a very good chance to at least hit the board and participate in the exact or the try. But I think she's going to have to step it up to win.
The Big Dreyfus Stakes, part of the $4,000 hit and split promotion. If you hit the late pick 4 Saturday at Laurel Park, when you bet with First Bet or Express Bet, you'll not only get your pari-mutuel winnings, but you'll take home your share of $4,000 in additional winnings just with those players who hit on the Express Bet and First Bet platforms. The main event Saturday at Laurel Park will be the DeFrancis Dash, $150,000. Jeff, this once in its heyday lured some of the top sprinters in the game, the Housebusters, the Cherokee Runs, Benny the Bull. The Maryland Jockey Club presents the DeFrancis Dash back in the summer calendar. And to me, this is where this race belongs on the calendar. It was always a great summer sprint race in the early days, but for about the last 20 years, it's been in the fall. Now they get it back into a July date, and I'm excited to see because we got a great field this year with Special Reserve, a headliner, making his first start of the year since running in the Breeders' Cup. He's a top-class sprinter, and to get a horse like that in this race can help raise the profile again of the DeFrancis Dash.
I agree. This is where this race belongs. And you get a horse like Special Reserve, who was a top-class sprinter on his best day. Of course, he was a Grade 2 winner at Keeneland last fall. And then he was one of the ones that ran in the Breeders' Cup Sprint that kind of ran Jackie's Warrior into the ground that day. So,
right.
He can be pretty tough. Finished 4th, hung around a lot longer in that race than he had a right to. Got nailed in the final 50 by Aloha West, but he is good. Now, the question is how cranked up he is, how ready is it?
Right.
He's a 6-year-old gelding. We haven't seen him since last November. Mike Makers, very solid, not great record with comebackers, but he should be fit enough. I'm looking at the work tab at Churchill Downs Training Center. There's nothing flashy there. I don't know enough about this horse to know how much work he really does need. In the past, he's run well fresh, so I think that might be the thinking. And I do think Special Reserve is going to be hard to beat here. There's another horse that's going to be tough as well. 2-1 on the bottom horse. Wonder where Craig is. He's another horse off the bench. He hasn't been out since a failed excursion to Dubai when he was unplaced in the Golden Shaheen. But you look at some of his previous races, they're pretty darn good. And he loves Laurel. He's fast on figures. He's got 2 triple-digit buyer numbers and a 99 buyer number in his last 5 starts. So drawn outside where he is. Wonder where Craig is going to give Special Reserve all they can handle unless Special Reserve comes back as well as he does. And there's always a chance he might be a little short. But those are the two. This is a very salty race. I know it's an ungraded race, but this is a legitimate graded type of race for some very, very tough and durable sprinters.
Do you like that outside post position for sprinters? Like wonder where Craig is. You hear people talk about, post at particular distances and things like that. Outside sprinting, an advantage or a disadvantage?
I think it's an advantage, depending upon what your horse wants to do. I think wonder where Craig is the kind of horse, if you look at his form, he wants to be right in the front, but he can sit 3rd or 4th if the situation requires. So the jock has the ability to look over and see how much pressure from the rail is. If nobody goes, he can go. But if he sees there are 2 or 3 in there that are just hell-bent on going to the front, he can kind of drop over, sit, stalk, and pounce. And that's what this horse's style is. Wonder where Craig is. He can go to the front, he can stalk, he can do whatever he wants, and it gives the jock the option to do that. He also gets to load last usually, so that means he's not sitting to the gate for a long time. I think most jockeys, and I've talked to a lot about, most of them say, I'd rather be out there. Now, there are certain situations, certain tracks maybe that you'd want to be inside. If your horse has to go anyway, you might as well be inside.
Right.
But most jocks will tell you they'd rather be outside.
Special Reserve, though, certainly going to be the favorite in here. He's a Grade 2 winner. He's Grade 1 placed. Let's go back to his Grade 2 victory last fall at Keeneland.
So Special Reserve now has taken a narrow lead. Just Might is second. Mucho tries to pick them up third, and behind horses trying to angle down toward the inside. Hasn't found the room yet. Now finds it. Has to find more, though, to catch Special Reserve. Late run Aloha West from fourth to third toward second on the outside. Special Reserve has the lead by 3. Aloha West is running on, but the 16th pole is here. The wire is coming. Special Reserve chased all the way down the stretch by Aloha West. Special Reserve, Aloha West. Special Reserve hangs on by a head over Aloha West to stake the stall. Keenan Ogden, Phoenix, 1 minute, 8.54 seconds.
Not only was that a Grade 2 win, it was a win over the eventual next start Breeders' Cup Sprint winner in Aloha West. Plenty of class there. It's the DeFrancis Dash back in July and part of a Pick 4 that has a $4,000 hit and split guarantee from Express Bet and First Bet. When you bet the Pick 4 with First Bet and Express Bet, the late Pick 4 Saturday at Laurel Park, you'll get your pari-mutuel winnings, and you'll also get $4,000 to split amongst the other players on those two platforms who hit the win in the late Pick 4. So check that out on Saturday, Laurel Park, as it's the Summer Sizzlers, second of 3 stakes days at the Maryland Jockey Club for the month of July. The Blue Sparkler Stakes next up on the First Call podcast as we talk about this turf sprint from Monmouth Park. 5.5 furlong turf dash, a little dog leg left, and then the one turn at Monmouth. Jeff, we got a nice field size here with a field of 9. We take a look at the lineup here with a couple main track only and also eligible types, but we expect to start with a field of 9. And where did you lean in this one, the Blue Sparkler?
I actually went with the California shipper here, number 3, Del Mona. She is 9-2 in the morning line. Number 5, Marissa's Lady, is going to be tough if she can transfer her dirt form to grass. This will be her first start on turf, but she's fast on figs and maybe the quickest in the race. So I could see Marissa's Lady being the best of the speed types. But Del Mona likes to settle just in the second flight and blast home. Now, if you look at her form overseas last year as a 2-year-old, you'll see that she got beat in the neck by Twilight Gleaming, Breeders' Cup Juvenile Filly Sprint winner in the stakes race at Newberry last August. And then in California this year, I've seen her. She got beat ahead in her first start in a very good allowance race. Absolutely should have won that race, got left at the gate. Came back and won a very good allowance race in her next start, sprinting down the hill. And then they stretched her out, which was a logical thing to try to do in the Senorita. She didn't break that day. She wasn't happy. And her connections came to the logical and correct conclusion. She's not a 2-turn horse.
Right, she wants a sprint.
So they freshened her since May. They've done some good work in the morning for her. Ship her back. Jeff Mullins had her, shipped her back, and she's been training really well. This work just about a week ago or so, half mile on the training track, breezing along. This is a happy and sharp filly. Again, by herself, never asked at all, covering the ground well. 48 flat could have been much faster under a tight hold. This tells me that Del Mona is very sharp, very ready, capable of firing fresh. And based on my evaluation of her form in California, I think she can win this race. I think she's every bit as good, if not better, than anything in the field. So for me, Del Mona at 9-2 represents a pretty decent gamble.
I love post 3 in a turf sprint. You're not stuck down on the pine. You're not too far wide with the short run to the turn at most racetracks. Post 3, really well drawn. Paco Lopez riding there for the former Greg Mullins trainee, now showing up in the barn of James Begg. Not a household name there. Maybe that'll help a little bit on the price, Jeff, with the barn change. The First Bet Artificial Intelligence is going with the 5, Marissa's Lady, 3-1 in the morning line, a 29% win projection. So that, in terms of fair odds, get you down to just under 5-2. 5-2 is generally considered about 28%. So this horse is fair odds between 5-2 and 2-1, and is 3-1 in the morning line, according to the First Bet Artificial Intelligence. Number 5, Marissa's Lady, in the Blue Sparkler Stakes on Saturday at Monmouth Park. Next, we go to Saratoga on Saturday for the first of two stakes races, the Grade 1 Diana. It's the feature race in terms of prestige and purse, but with the field size of 5, it's moved up a little bit earlier in the card. Field size of 6, in fact, as we take a look at the runners for the Diana Stakes. And Jeff Siegel, when you look at this race, Chad Brown had, 10 of the 14 nominees for this race, so you knew he was going to have the dominant hand to play. He's got 4 of the 6 in the eventual entries,
including the undefeated number 3, Bleecker Street. This is a really, really good filly. She's undefeated in 7 starts. I don't think she's quite captured the imagination of the North American racing public just yet.
right?
I think back to some fillies like, like Lady Eli, for example. I mean, everybody loved her. She was a Breeders' Cup winner as a 2-year-old and all that. But if you look at this filly's form, she's 4 years old. She's by Quality Road. She's won all of her starts. None more impressive than her most recent start. I thought when she won the New York Grade 1, she wasn't even favored that day,
Right.
but she still won it, and she did it the hard way. She came against slow fractions. She was down on the inside. I was expecting her to kind of angle out and make her run. Well, she kind of whipped out, kind of lost some of that momentum entering the stretch, had almost an impossible task inside the furlong pole. She was 7th. It says 3 lengths. It seemed like it was a lot more than 3. It seemed like 4 or 5. Anyway, not only did she win the race, she won going away by a half length. I actually thought she won by more than a half length because she was going by the field so fast. It was truly a breathtaking performance. And if you're in the numbers, she earned a career top 96 by her number. She's run 7 times. Every race she has run, she's earned a better buyer number than the previous start. So she hasn't stopped, gotten better. She has improved every race. And in a small field going to Mount, I don't see how she loses if she runs back to any one of her recent races, any one of all of her races. So Bleecker Street, to me, 6-5 in the morning line for Chad Brown.
It's a role reversal. Last time, Rougier, her stablemate, was 4-5 in the New York. And as Jeff mentioned, here's how it turned out.
Family Way to challenge Flighty Lady for the lead. The two of them are together. Virginia Joy, far outside it is Rougier, and then Core Values as they come through the stretch. Here is Family Way on the outside to take the lead from Flighty Lady. Then it's Virginia Joy, Core Values, Bleecker Street coming on the outside. Here is Bleecker Street who takes off in deep stretch. Bleecker Street from off the pace to win the Grade 1 New York Stakes.
When your first stretch call is about 150 yards from the wire, 100 yards from the wire, that tells you, I mean, Bleecker Street really wasn't in the mix at all until inside the 16th and well inside the 16th.
How about this, Jeremy? That race was 1.25 miles, according to the clocking, the timer, which of course you can never trust in this day and age. But apparently, the leaders ran the last quarter in 22-2. I don't know how fast it really was, or if in fact that's what it was, and how fast Bleecker Street had to run to catch up. But she went by some high quality fillies in the last 50 yards, like they were standing still.
Yeah,
truly amazing performance, and there's nothing to believe for me to believe that anything in this race can match that if she shows up with a similar race. And why wouldn't she? She's been perfect so far, and I expect her to stay perfect in the Diana.
The impressive thing about that was 1.25 mile race in the New York. That's a turf miler move. You know, you see a turf miler pick them up and lay them down, high 21s, low 22, the final quarter. You don't see that at 1.25 miles on the grass very often. So the cutback to 1.125 miles there actually probably sharpens her even more, because she has that turn of foot. It's just that when they ask to produce it. So she should be even more effective, I think, with that kind of ability to pick them up and lay them down. Bleecker Street, Jeff's top pick, and also the top pick of the first bet, Artificial Intelligence, a 31% win projection in the Diana Stakes. Feature race Saturday. Good luck if you're playing that at the Spa. Saratoga's Saturday card also includes the Stanford Stakes, Grade 3, Sanford, 6 furlongs for the 2-year-olds. And this time of year, you're expecting most 2-year-olds, Jeff Siegel, to have one start under their belt and looking to make that second career outing. We've got some that have a little more veteran skill to them here. Roman Giant for Steve Asmussen is making his 5th career start in the Sanford. You don't see that often. But generally speaking, this time of year, Jeff, we're looking at first start horses trying to make that move forward into their second start? And what are some of the things you're looking for to improve from 1 to 2?
Well, there's two things that you have to look at. Number one is you want to see, obviously, how fast they ran, what kind of number they have. But 2-year-olds I always say they're in various stages of development at this stage, and it doesn't take, it's not surprising when you see one step forward considerably. Some of them run back to the same race. Some of them will go backwards. So what I put heavy emphasis, more so maybe than what the paper says, than what I see. I want to watch the races. And I've went back and watched almost all of these 2-year-olds to see if some of them won with something in hand, some of them overcame trips or maybe a slow start. And I came up with the 2 that I thought were visually most impressive here. Number 4, Forte, for Todd Pletcher. And the other one was number 4, Forte. Number 9, Andiamo a Firenze. Now, interestingly, and sometimes you can go by this, Ira Ortiz rode both of them in their maiden wins, and he opts for Forte for Todd Pletcher. So that might give you an indication, the connections, at least the jock, the agent, maybe they think Forte is the better. Maybe they just want to stick with Todd Pletcher. But I can tell you that based on what I saw, Andiamo a Firenze is the quicker of the 2, not necessarily the better, but the quicker of the 2. Now, he won his debut by 4 over a sloppy track at Belmont, did it stylishly, and really looked good. A colt by Speightstown earned an 80 buyer number. Forte earned an 81. So numbers-wise, they're essentially the same. But Forte actually sat off the pace and won going away, and looks like he'll really appreciate today's extra furlong. He won going 5/8 at Belmont. This race 6 furlongs. So on the basis of that, I will give Forte the edge over Andiamo a Firenze. However, if you wager on Andiamo a Firenze, you have the luxury of believing that you're going to be in front and maybe loose on the lead and keep going. Who knows how good he is? He's a Speightstown. He's had 1 start. How the heck we don't know how good he is. They both won impressively. They both look like they're quality colts. And Forte, with Irad choosing him, maybe will give me the edge to maybe lean that way. But they're both worth using if you're playing rolling exotics.
Forte trained by Todd Pletcher, as is Major Dude, a debut winner at Monmouth. Lures Johnny Velasquez does Major Dude. Forte may be the more historical lean for you of the Pletcher pair, though, Jeff, because Pletcher's won this race 3 of the last 6 years, the Sanford, all with horses who broke their maidens at Belmont. And that's where Forte did his best business. Major Dude went down to Monmouth, maybe with the B circuit, if you will, to break his maiden. So in the Pletcher Bowl, if you will, between Major Dude and Forte, you're probably going to get a better price on Major Dude, but I think Forte is the stronger of the 2. And again, with Pletcher, those Belmont debut winners coming and winning the Sanford, 50% over the last 6 editions of this race, 3 of the 6 from Pletcher. But I think you have the 2 big ones in here. Forte, Andiamo a Firenze. And Andiamo a Firenze is half the Firenze Fire. So there's some history there. And if I don't know if the savaging transfers in pedigree, do you want to be next to Andiamo a Firenze? Maybe he'll be on his best behavior. The first bet, Artificial Intelligence, would like to take a bite out of Andiamo a Firenze. 32% win projection, a very strong win projection, especially for a field size like this and with 2-year-olds. So Andiamo a Firenze is the win projection for the first bet app. Jeff's got Forte, and I'm with you on this one, Jeff. I like Forte as well. Take down the Sanford Stakes on Saturday at Saratoga, one of 2 stakes races on the card that also includes the Diana in race number 8. And then we've got the big stakes race for the 2-year-olds to start to meet the Sanford in race number 10. Sunday stakes race that we'll take a look at on the program is the Sanford Grade 3, or not the Sanford, it's the Quick Call Stakes, 5.5 furlongs on the turf on Sunday the 17th. The Quick Call Stakes, again, for the turf sprinters, and these are 3-year-olds. As I bring Jeff Siegel into the mix here, Jeff, this is a horse that we're going to talk about here, Big Invasion, that was part of our Tuesday podcast a couple weeks back in our It's Official, as we go back and look at the top performances of the weekend and try to spotlight horses that not only were good now, but you might want to look at down the road. When he won the Paradise Creek at Belmont Park, you wanted to spotlight him that week, and now you get your chance. He's back, and he's in the Quick Call.
He really should win this race. I like the outside draw for him because he's another one of these horses that doesn't like to go to the front. He likes to kind of stalk, drop over, and blast home. And after somehow managing to get himself beat in his debut at Gulfstream Park back in January of his 3-year-old season, since then he's reeled off 4 straight wins, each more impressive than the previous. And he's done it in every case. He's done it by daylight. The margins 4 1/4, 3, 2, and 3 1/4. You don't see this very often in grass racing, whereas horses are winning off. You see it a lot in dirt. But in grass, usually win by a half, 3/4 a length, maybe. They're kind of all bunched up at the end, and most of the racing is done in the last 50 yards. Big Invasion is winning by blowouts, and he's doing it with fast numbers. He's another one of these horses. 4 consecutive races, Jeremy, with turf sprint numbers in the mid-90s. That's hard to do. So he's fast. He's obviously in top hands with Christophe Lamont. Joel Rosario knows him well. And in this race, he's going to have enough pace to stalk, pounce, and go. And at Saratoga with a long run in from the top of the stretch to the wire, I really think Big Invasion's a quality colt. And I don't think he's just a sprinter. I'd love to see him stretch out eventually. I think they'll run out of turf sprints. But to me, Big Invasion is a high-quality colt, and I think he continues his winning ways.
You know he'll get speed. There are 2 Larry Ravellis and a Wesley Ward in the turf sprint rank, so it's going to set up for a late run, just as it did for him last time in the Paradise Creek. Let's take a look at that.
Asymmetric. Here is Sean Sue, and here is High Front, and on the outside, Big Invasion as they come down for the 8th pole. It is still asymmetric. Far outside, Big Invasion now kicking in. Here is Big Invasion to take the lead from Asymmetric. It is Big Invasion running a big race today, winning it from off the pace under Joel Rosario. And Big Invasion won by 3.5. And the final time for the 7 furlongs, 1 minute 20 and 1/5 seconds.
We'll see if Big Invasion takes that form to Saratoga on Sunday. The feature race, the quick call. So we're getting set to wrap up this edition of the First Call podcast, but we have a little bonus handicapping for you this week. Our guy Eddie Olczyk is skating into Minnesota again because Saturday night at Canterbury Park, 4 stakes races on the program. And Jeff, they got a $58,000 carryover in their pick 5. Nobody hit it on Thursday night, no racing Friday. So into Saturday, there's a $58,000 carryover at Canterbury Park on Saturday night in the pick 5. And we've got a $10 free bet if you play it with Express Bet and First Bet. So up to $10, get your money back when you bet into that pick 5. And if you want a little handicapping help, let's get Edzo involved here with his hat trick for Canterbury on Saturday night.
We're ready for the start. They're off.
Well, time for my hat trick, everybody. Going to try to make Paul Allen really proud of me here tonight. So let's start off in race 2, number 4, Malibu Channel. Off the rail finally. Speed and fade in the last at Lone Star down in Grand Prairie, Texas. Needs to come from off the pace in order to win. Trainer Carl Broberg is on a roll. Why not? Race 2, number 4, Malibu Channel. Let's jump to race 4, number 9, Giant Payday. And it will be if he wins. I'm taking a shot here. The race 2 back was not bad against Tougher on the turf. Drops today. Speed to follow. One time for my pal PA. Giant Payday. And let's go to race 9, number 7, Herbie. Only way he can win here is follow the 3 horse around the track, sit second and make one run. And of course, when I think of Herbie, I think of the legendary Herb Brooks. And USA, USA. Good luck, everybody.
So are we going to get a miracle on ice or a miracle on the track? I mean, Eddie's tapping every hockey resource he has going to Herb Brooks there.
I remember it well. It's 42 years now. Good, yeah. I'll never forget where I was. And you know, one of those days I was sitting in the press box, and it was late in the afternoon at Santa Anita, and the press box steward said, "Hey, I just got a call. Someone said the Americans beat the Russians in hockey." And I looked over my shoulder, and I didn't even care to even check it out because it was so improbable. I said, "That's impossible. I'm going back to my handicap," you know. And then they said, "No, No, it happened. It really
It
happened.
really happened.
And it took me like a half an hour to believe it because back then it wasn't being televised live, anything like that. There was no internet. I just had to take the guy's word for it. I still didn't believe it until I got home, but incredible.
The Miracle on Ice at Lake Placid. If you visit Saratoga this summer or in the future, try to make the drive up to Lake Placid. It's about 90 minutes or so, 2 hours as the crow flies north on 87. Then you got to go back into Whiteface Mountain. But I've made that drive a couple times. Beautiful, absolutely beautiful, beautiful bucolic city town to check out. There's a lot of history there. Still a lot of live winter sports events that go on there. Actually saw the Luge Championship there one December. Watch people flying by on sleds about 90 miles an hour every couple of minutes. They just kept flying by me. But it's a fun town. Check out Lake Placid there, the Miracle on Ice, and the ode and the tip of the cap there from Eddie Olczyk. That's going to wrap up this edition of the First Call podcast. We want to remind you a lot of great promotions when you bet with First Bet and Express Bet this weekend. You've got those hit and splits, $4,000 on the late pick 4 at Laurel on Saturday. That's a big one on DeFrancis Dash Day. Canterbury Park, we still have a $2,000 hit and split on the early pick 4 Saturday. That was originally scheduled. We've added just now with the breaking news, the $10 free bet on that pick 5 wager at Canterbury on Saturday night because of the carryover of $58,000. And of course, it's Meadowlands Pace Night for the harness folks. You'll certainly enjoy that showcase race. Al Samaglia will have all your handicapping information on that. $2,000 hit and split on Saturday for the Meadowlands Pace as well. If you're in the handicapping tournaments this weekend, we've got the $300 Canterbury Hall of Fame Challenge on Saturday. You can play it online at ExpressBet. Again, tournament play just online only at ExpressBet. The $300 Hall of Fame Challenge for Canterbury Park this Saturday. And Jeff, Fun in the Sun starts next week. That's our $125 low roller weekly handicapping tournament where you make $10 win bets between Saratoga and Del Mar each week that they run together. So we're just a week away from Fun in the Sun. We're a week away from Saratoga and Del Mar running together. And I don't know, we're just a couple minutes away from the first race today at Saratoga on the first Friday of their card. It's a great time to be a racing fan.
It is. We'll be diving into Del Mar next week, Saratoga on the weekend. It is a great time, and let's get to work and win some money.
All right. On behalf of everybody with First Technologies, my partner Jeff Siegel, I'm Jeremy Plonk. Good luck at the races, and we'll talk to you next week on the First Call podcast. And before that, we'll see you on Tuesday when we make everything official.